joining us, Senator Mark Obenshain, Republican 26th District. That's Harrisonburg. And by the way, Ann and I will be in Harrisonburg on April 29th and 30th. That's Friday and Saturday for the Republican State Convention. And we will be doing our show on Friday from Senator Obenshain's office, which we did one time in the past, which is going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that. Also, Mark Obenshain's wife, Suzanne Obenshain, is running for state committee woman for the Republican Party of Virginia. I should say national committee woman from Virginia. I think that's the right way to say it. And you need to get your pre-file forms. Go to rpv.org and fill out your pre-file form and make it to Harrisonburg to vote for Suzanne Obenshain, who we are a supporter of. Senator, good to have you with us, man.
Hey, John, it's good to be with you. Thanks for that pitch for Suzanne. She'll do a great job taking over the Republican National Committee.
Well, she will. We're going to be there working hard for her. She's a fine woman, and she'll do a fine job, and we wish her the best. And certainly Ann and I are going to do everything that we can to help her. Senator, I was aghast yesterday that your constitutional amendment to put the opportunity to expand our charter school base in Virginia on a ballot in a plebiscite referendum format to let the people of Virginia decide on where they want their education to go and whether or not they feel that charter schools is something that would offer additional choice to students, especially those that are locked into a failing school system. I could not believe it went down yesterday, 21-19, and you weren't passing anything. All you were saying is, let's put it on the ballot and let the people of Virginia decide. Had you done that, it would have passed maybe 3-1. What happened?
Yeah, John, it's incredibly disappointing. You know, you do a good job of describing it. I mean, charter schools are really conservative educational reform, and it's proven very successful around the country. You know, the really surprising thing, and I have to say very disappointing politically, personally, is that, you know, we voted on this last year, and it has to be voted on 2 years in a row with an election in between. And the theory is that, you know, there may be new people who are elected, and they may have a different view about this, and we want to make sure that it's right for Virginia. And the irony is that we did have 5 new people who were elected, 6 new people who were elected to the state Senate. Every single one of those voted the way that their predecessors did. There were 2 Republicans, including my neighbor to the south, Emmett Hanger, who changed their votes. And, you know, unfortunately, Emmett decided to side with the Democrats and with big educational labor. And unfortunately, we were unable to get a passing vote again this year. It's kids in as you put it, kids in failing school districts who are going to pay the price for this.
Senator, you also lost Ben Chafin from the South Side. Chafin, as you know, the House of Delegates member that won the special last August, I believe, and or the August before, I don't remember, but he replaced Phil Puckett, who retired unexpectedly. So Chafin, pretty much, I mean, you look at his record, is pretty conservative. What happened there?
You know, I don't know. Ben voted with us to get it out of committee, and I know that he was being beaten up by school board members, superintendents, and by the VEA. VEA, you know, has more lobbyists in Richmond than anybody else. You talk about an effective labor union and a labor organization. You know, they're there to protect the interests of big labor, not the interests of kids. And, you know, they perceive their interests as being threatened, and, you know, they put the full court press on.
Why are their interests threatened when all your referendum did was give voters of Virginia an opportunity to make a decision on whether or not they wanted to have the ability to expand charter schools in Virginia? Why is it bad to leave it up to Virginians who are actually electing everybody else? I mean, I could see if your bill was basically fait accompli, you pass this, governor signs, it's a done deal. Your bill was to put it on the ballot and let average working people decide on their fate for how they want to go forward.
John, you're exactly right, and it's even worse than that. The VEA says we're standing up for rank and file teachers, and that's just not true.
That's correct.
When given a choice, rank and file teachers, have flocked to opportunities to teach in charter schools where some of the constraints that have been imposed by the education bureaucracy are lifted from them, and they're free to teach again. Virginia Beach opened a charter school in one of its existing high schools. They split it down the middle, and the VEA said, no self-respecting teacher is going to want to teach there. Fact of the matter is, when they opened their doors and advertised for teachers, teachers lined up around the block asking to teach there. There was a waiting list that was at least as long as the number of teachers who were actually hired. Teachers do want the ability to innovate and be creative.
Well, there's no doubt. And, you said one thing in your statement that I'm going to read. You said, sadly, those paying the highest price for this action are children in a handful of localities with failing schools. Look, this is spot on, and I want our listeners to understand that we're not talking about people that have the resources to send their children to a private or parochial school like we send our son to a Catholic school, part of the diocese. We do that. We were able to struggle to get the resources. But I'm telling you, and I'm telling my listeners, right in my area, Mark, we have families, single-income families that depend on public transportation only in the South Norfolk area, which is the Chesapeake school system that I'm in, with failing schools on probation where those parents have no opportunity. Those kids are basically imprisoned in that school. They don't have the resources to funnel them somewhere else. They can't get out. And so as bad as the school might be for that child, and that's the other thing, this school might be okay for some, but it just might be failing for that child. They have no way out. They're imprisoned in a failing system for them. And this is what the Senate did yesterday. They basically said, if you don't have the resources and you're a single income family or you're on AFDC or you're the working poor or you don't have transportation, screw you and your child. You are going to be imprisoned in a failing system with no way out. Now, how does that make any sense?
Well, you're preaching the choir here, John. And, charter schools are actually even more than that. We've got school divisions like Fairfax that are, self-proclaimed one of the best school systems in America, and they probably are. But, one size doesn't fit all. And there are some kids in Fairfax who would give their eye teeth, and their families would, for them to be able to go to a technology and science charter school, who can't get into the Thomas Jefferson School for Science and Technology. We're missing the boat on opportunities to open charter schools for the arts, or charter schools for autistic kids, or charter schools for humanities, charter schools for science and technology. Those are, some of the creative opportunities that we in Virginia are going to miss out on.
How many total charter schools right now, Senator Obenshain, are there in Virginia?
9. There are 9 charter schools. 20 years, we have accumulated 9 charter schools.
9 charter schools. There. Let me just give an example of that. Juxtapose that. I came from Atlanta, Georgia, to Norfolk, Virginia, and in my county, Fulton County, this is one county in Georgia, we had 16 charter schools. 16. One county.
Yeah.
And they were schools for science, math, journalism, technology. They had all sorts of specializations that certain children were excited about. And so that system's working fine. What is the lobbyist argument here? I mean, when they went to Chafin or they went to Hanger, what is their argument?
have tried to argue that this is a power grab by Richmond. And, John, I think you know me well enough to know that the last thing in the world that I want is to take more power to Richmond. And what we have done is carefully crafted a framework in which we made sure that applicants to open charter schools had to go to their local school board first, and then they could come to Richmond as an appeal in the event that they were unreasonably denied a charter. In Fairfax, for example, there was a charter application made by a former Fairfax school board chair, former member of the General Assembly, a current state senator who, by the way, voted against our charter constitutional amendment, was counsel to that group seeking charter approval. It was turned down against all odds. Washington Post has been on the warpath. One area in which I actually agree with the Washington Post. They pointed out that if you want to see an example of why local-only school board veto power over charter schools doesn't work, look at that Fairfax County application. It was a good application. It would have helped kids. It would have broadened their horizons. They just made it very clear, our doors are closed. It doesn't matter how good your application is. Don't bother coming to us. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
Is it about the money?
People don't come to us.
Is it about the money? What's this about?
No, it's not about the money. It's about, money is easy. We can figure that out. It's about preserving the status quo, maintaining our spheres of power, about school division saying, don't tell us how to teach your kids. And particularly those school divisions in which we are failing our kids, saying, how dare you tell us that we are screwing up. And we know best how to fix this problem, even though they haven't fixed it for decades.
It's unbelievable. I am just so upset over this. I mean, you passed it in the 2015 General Assembly session. You had a majority of Republicans. I guess everybody assumed going in that you guys would pass it again. And again, so my audience knows, all you were doing was getting the referendum on the ballot. I mean, if the citizens of Virginia went to vote in 2016, got that referendum and said, this is just too much power that's out of our hands, or we don't really want this, they would have said no, and that would have been the end of it. So what this did basically is take the opportunity to even consider it out of the hands of working middle-class Virginians, because that's and people that don't have the resources. Because here, the bottom line is, Senator, if you're a family of means and you have the resources, you can find a private or parochial school for your child that better fits their needs. That's just reality. So this to me becomes discriminatory. It becomes racist. I mean, this is racist as far as I'm concerned. And where's the media on it? Where's all that? Nowhere. Okay, this is discriminatory against people without the economic means in order to make the choices for their children, to benefit their children and take them out of a failing system for them. And I think that is outrageous.
Well, John, before all your listeners perceive you and I as being bitter and angry all the time, let me just say, as upset and disappointed, and I'm a little bit angry over the failure of this constitutional amendment. I'm committed to education reform. This is not the end. We're going to be back. We're going to build a coalition. We're going to get charter schools in Virginia. It's just not going to be this year. We're going to lay the groundwork and run a grassroots campaign. We're going to get the job done.
Well, you got to keep fighting. Many of us are stunned over the result yesterday. Just one other question. When you guys were whipping this, did you see this a couple of weeks ago?
No, I did not know until yesterday morning that we were not going to have the votes. I offered to rewrite the authorizing legislation in any way necessary to satisfy the concerns of really one of our members, and it didn't happen.
Well, Senator Obenshain,
that invitation wasn't accepted.
We appreciate you being with us, and you keep fighting the good fight. And I think both of us are equally stunned that this didn't work. But worse than that is the fact that disadvantaged children, the working class poor in Virginia, those on AFDC, those without private transportation, those locked into failing systems are screwed yet once again by the big educational lobby, and it's a shameful day, I think, in Virginia. Sir, thanks for being with us.
You bet. Thanks for your coverage.